Hey everyone, this is Christian Heimel, host of Press Row. Thanks so much for listening to the following broadcast, courtesy of Public House Media.
This is Liz Colburn, host of The Morning Uplift here on Public House Media. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media. Once you are done with this episode, I hope you'll come back and check out my show, The Morning Uplift, where we talk about finding your beauty in the journey. A new show comes out twice a month on the first and third Mondays. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you never miss an episode of The Morning Uplift. Thank you again for checking out the following broadcast on Public House Media.
Everyone, and welcome to No Filter Friday on Public House Media. And this week, we're with my wonderful friend Nicoletta, who is a sex therapist, among other kinds of therapizing that you do.
Thank you.
But if you know her, you know that's like her jam. And she also has a podcast called Sluts and Scholars that I've been on twice now, I think.
You were a great guest if you haven't listened to it.
I'm a reoccurring on Sluts and Scholars.
Yes, and we usually only see each other when we're podcasting or eating.
At Soup Plantation,
Yes.
We're really,
which is your favorite?
Yeah. Buffets, hoe stuff, all that.
There are better buffets than Soup Plantation, but I get it.
Yeah, but do they have coupons? No, they don't. So we're Soup Plantation people. So last week I had a guest on, Jessie Pridemore, that I actually did 2 episodes with, and she talked about how after her trauma she found a really, really fabulous therapist, but she just, the heavens parted basically, and she was directly linked to this therapist, and they've been seeing each other for a year now. It's very serious.
My longest relationship was with my therapist.
Yeah, so. That's fair. You grew up in Los Angeles.
Yeah, 15 years strong.
That's 35 in LA time.
It's a long time.
It's a long time. So I wanted to talk to you about how, when you don't just happen or get a direct referral, how do you find a professional to help you with your situation?
So it definitely is like dating. Sometimes you have to shop around for the right fit for you, but what can be really confusing, even for someone in the field, is how many different titles there are for different kinds of therapists. So I'm going to try to break it down.
Daunting.
Yeah, I'm
okay.
going to try to break it down
as
quickly as I can. So you have MFTs, which is what I am, stands for Marriage Family Therapist. Don't let that title confuse you, because they also see individuals, couples, kids, so not just marriage and families.
So it depends on the person.
Yes. So each person who has an MFT may specialize in something. Like I specialize in sex therapy. There are folks who specialize in anxiety, depression, trauma. Then you have LCSWs, which are licensed clinical social workers. Sometimes those folks work for departments like Child Protective Services or other government agencies. But sometimes they have their own private practice too and do
on top of their
general therapy.
Regular job.
Then you have PsyDs, so that is a doctorate of psychology.
That sounds intense.
Yes, that focuses on clinical practice. So those are also psychotherapists. Then you have people with PhDs or clinical psychologists. So that means that the person got their doctorate, their PhD, but it focused more on research. Those people do see clients, but they often don't have as much clinical practice as the people with the PsyDs. Then you have psychiatrists who have an MD, like a medical doctor.
And they can write the prescriptions.
And they're the ones who give you the meds. So sometimes they'll meet for regular therapy, but often psychiatrists more lean into medication management, and it can be pretty expensive if you don't have insurance.
Well, at that point though, if you were seeing any one of these other types of therapists, if they're you really need to visit this person to get on X, Y, and Z.
Yes.
And then you have to work together, I'm
exactly.
assuming. Okay.
Yeah, so what's difficult, the first thing to consider is, do you have insurance that covers some type of mental health? And then it's sort of less shopping around and more just getting whoever is on the list
Yeah.
that you can see. And so for people who want to go through their insurance, it's good because maybe it'll be covered or you'll have a low copay, but the downside is you might not be able to like specifically find the right person. And each insurance company is different. So friends I have or clients I have who have Kaiser really struggle because their mental health program has a lot of issues. To say it nicely.
But even just like navigating any insurance is really hard. In network, out of network, like referrals, not referral. Like it's
really hard.
It's a really complicated web, regardless.
Absolutely. So a lot of people decide to just pay out of pocket because then they're like, well, I can find the right person for me.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a lot of money, a good thing you can look for is someone who offers a sliding scale. So I offer a sliding scale. A lot of places that offer a sliding scale, they have like interns or associates, like people in training. So in LA, there's a few places. One's called the Maple Center, one's called the Center for Professional Counseling, but there's a whole list of places.
Yeah, I feel like we have a lot in LA, but other places.
Southern California Counseling Center. So if you just look and Google and say like sliding scale community mental health, you may be able to find something that is low cost, and usually they have a lot of therapists. So if you don't like maybe the first person you're assigned to, you can kind of
work your way around,
request a different person or like someone who has a certain specialty.
There's a whole bit in Sex and the City about that when Stanford Blatch is like, I have 3 therapists. When I want to be coddled, I go to this one. When I want this, I go to another one. And then his Goldilocks is like his third therapist.
The just right therapist. I mean, folks say you should only have one unless like everyone's working together as a team, but like so you don't get confused. And that's expensive, but I totally get the, I guess it's like dating. Like, my partner doesn't meet all of my needs, so let me find these other friends who, like, meet these needs that are missing. Another resource I really like is Psychology Today. So it's a magazine and an online resource. So you can enter...
They have an app, don't they?
Maybe they have an app.
I
haven't
like they have
downloaded it.
Maybe they do. Let's hope that they
Check if they have an app.
Yeah.
There's an app for that. So you can search by city, zip code, license, what someone specializes in, cost, availability. Sometimes.
All that stuff.
They also have groups you can find on there too. So that's a great way to look. And there's so many. And then this is when the dating comes in.
The dating.
So then you make your first call, or email, which can be nerve-wracking.
What do you say? Like when when you pick up the phone at your office,
Yeah.
What do you want that other person to say? Like ideally, like what gets
I'm a really easy client.
Yeah.
I can pay your full fee. Just kidding. So usually most therapists won't pick up directly.
Yeah.
And so you either have to send an email or leave a message for them to call you back. This is to like rule out people who aren't serious about therapy, won't be a good fit, or creepers, or
Lots of creepers.
Yeah, or just like robots calling. And so usually how people will reach out to me is they'll send an email, they'll give a little blurb about what's going on, what they're looking for, and they'll say, are you currently taking new clients, and what's your fee? So then everyone's different, but I'll usually respond with like, let's set up a phone consultation, because I like to connect with the person voice to voice.
You need to hear what's going on here.
And to be honest, because of the specialization that I have in sex, I do get some people who are reaching out who don't actually want to be clients.
They just want to chat.
Yes, they just want to chat. They just want to, talk about salacious things, which is like, that's cool, that's fine. Like, sometimes I'm like, maybe I should just like charge for this. Yeah. But like, there are, other sex workers and great people who do that.
Plenty of 1-800 numbers for that specific thing.
Exactly. And sometimes it's a safety issue too, as a female working in that space.
Yeah.
There have been issues, unfortunately. And so it's important to do that. But usually the person will like give a little spiel, ask my fee, I'll make a call with them, and then I'll ask them like, what has you reaching out for therapy now?
Was that the first thing that they taught you in school? What has you reaching
How do you answer?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I can't remember, but like, that's a pretty generic question. Like, why are you calling?
What?
Yeah, but that's like a less therapeutic way of being like, why are you calling me?
Why are you calling?
Why do you need therapy?
Yeah.
We try not to use the word why. So it's like, what has you reaching out now? How can I support you? So then, sharing a little bit about what's going on for you. good questions to ask are, what are their credentials? There are some sites online you can look. The Board of Behavioral Sciences is what looks over a lot of these folks, or the American Psychological Association for people who are psychologists and psychiatrists and things. So you can Google and look up somebody's license to make sure that it's like current and they haven't had any licensing issues.
Very important.
Yeah.
Because you don't know until you know.
I mean, look, there are people out there who do coaching, whether that's like sex coaching, life coaching,
Yeah.
and I know a lot of them who aren't licensed and who do great work, but it's not as looked after. So you can get someone who's like not...
It's an open frontier.
Yeah, not a good fit. But I often refer to those folks as just like people who I've kind of vetted and worked with and who I know do good work.
You gotta...
Yeah, so you don't have to find
check
someone
out those
who's
cookies,
licensed.
see how they're
but
baking.
Exactly. And then other questions I might ask someone is, to see if our schedule lines up. So when you call someone, have an idea about like when you can see them. Know that for most therapists, you're not going to get an estimate of like how long is this going to take. So maybe some people have like a 5 sessions or your money back guarantee.
That seems unrealistic.
Yeah, but the main thing I try to do is to get the person in the room.
Yeah.
So get them to show up, meet in person, see if like I myself feel comfortable and feel like I can help them. And then if they also feel comfortable with me. So you may know just in that first session, like, do I vibe?
Is this going to work? It's your first date.
Yeah, exactly.
You should know.
Like, do you feel comfortable? You're not going to like solve all your issues in one session, but like, do I at least feel comfortable with this person?
Yeah.
Do they feel like they can help me? Do they have the specialization for what I need? And then you may have to shop around.
Oh my God, you might have to date around. Find your find your therapist match. How did you find yours if you've been seeing them for 15 years?
Well, at the time, since I was younger, I think my parents found this one.
Okay.
But I know at first I was like not keen on going because I was like an adolescent and was like
I don't want to go.
Exactly.
General teenage angst.
Exactly. But over time, I think, it takes a while to develop a rapport and a relationship. And so I learned that she was someone I could trust. It was I felt comfortable there.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Well, you've been there for 15 years.
Yeah.
I hope you're in a healthy relationship.
Gosh, I hope so. It would be horrible if the most horrible relationship of my life was with my therapist.
My therapist. It's completely counterproductive.
Yeah, exactly.
But how, do you think, is that what inspired you to be a therapist? Or was it a part of it? Or
Definitely a part of it. I think I did good work with this person. They were definitely an inspiration for me and helped me out a lot. And I would say that definitely helped guide me.
Grease the future therapist wheels.
Exactly. But
exciting.
it is frustrating. It's hard. Firstly, it's hard to find someone. It's hard to find somebody you can afford.
Yeah. It's not cheap.
Yeah, it's a commitment. And so it does take time. And if you're motivated, that's great because then you can take time to research and look and ask these questions. But if you're in crisis and depressed and really struggling,
you don't have, ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah, you don't have, nobody got time for that, or you're just will give up.
Yeah.
After looking for a while because you're tired.
Or just calling around and giving the same spiel, especially when it's trauma related. I've seen so many people be like, I can't keep rehashing this over and over and over again.
Yeah. So, it is tough. Obviously, if you're in a crisis state and you need someone immediately, go to your nearest emergency room,
find somebody.
You can get help.
Yeah.
There are crisis hotlines. A group called D.D. Hirsch has a good one for suicidality. There's another one called the Warm Line. That's if you're just feeling not great and needing to talk to someone immediately. So if you can't wait to talk to someone.
Or RAIN. RAIN has a hotline.
Yeah, RAIN. RAINN.
Yeah, 2 N's.
Yeah.
Don't forget that second N.
Yes. So, there are options if you're needing someone right away.
Yeah, it's so scary to me to see people out here struggling that they clearly need a professional attention. Or, you know what, I saw this thing that this girl posted the other day and she was upset about it and she was like, my friend told me that my anxiety and my depression is like too much for them and they can't like handle it right now. And she was like really offended. But then we got into this discussion about like, well, your friend's not a professional. Like your friend's not trained for this. They don't have the experience to deal with this with you. Like everybody has a limit.
Yeah.
And being a professional is not a joke. Like how many years did you have to go to school for? Forever?
4 years undergrad, 2 years master's. I did an additional one for the sex specific stuff, and then it took 3 years to do 3,000 hours of work to get licensed.
10 years deep, basically.
Yeah. I mean, look, like coaches, friends, like those people can be helpful, so I don't want to like crap on that.
Yeah.
And yes, there are some things that are like out of your knowledge base. Just like if someone came to me and they were like actively hearing voices, I may refer them to like a higher level of care.
Yeah.
Because it's like out of my scope.
Yeah, well, and that's everybody. You can only do so much. Like we all have our spectrum of like things that we can accomplish.
But it sucks to hear. Like imagine you just like vulnerably laid yourself out to someone and they were like, "You're too much for me."
Yeah. No, I mean I get it. I get
so rejected.
Yeah. Like I get the initial response is probably very jarring, but I think once you like dig into it a little bit, like, okay, like if we're really gonna do this, like it's gonna require another person to facilitate this, and that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that's been most disheartening lately is folks I know, like I mentioned, who have Kaiser as their insurance. So there's been a lot of strikes, like in the mental health field there.
Really?
So they don't have a lot of folks helping, so they need more people. And often folks get like bounced around to different places and there's no like central dialogue. It can be impossible to like reach your actual doctor because it's just like a general phone number.
Oh gosh.
It can be hard for a therapist to like coordinate with other professionals there. And so that's been really...
That is hard, and like interdepartment communication in any field is really, really tough. But when it's like someone's mental health state on the line, like that's dire.
Yeah, and I mean, mental health should be a human right, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, it's just as important as your physical health. Like, it all goes together. Like, there's not like a hierarchy on...
But when it comes to insurance or the stigma, like there is.
Yeah, that's true.
And so not everyone can get access, and like that's sucks. That's why I work on a sliding scale, because I want to be able to like provide services to folks who can't afford it.
Yeah, because it's I think I saw a lady that was like an advertisement for a lady that was like $175 an hour or something.
See, that's honestly like now that's like a normal mid-range price.
Yeah.
So the places I was talking about earlier that do sliding scale, some of them go as low as like $40. Mm-hmm. And then if you have Medicare and things like that, there are options too. And then probably like the mid-range that most people charge is between like $125 and $175. And then the higher end people can charge up to like $400. Psychiatrists often, like the first session is between $400 and $500 if you don't have insurance.
Because they got that script pad and they're not out here playing games.
Yeah, and sometimes they'll only meet with you for like 15 minutes.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
that's ungodly expensive.
But it's because people don't want to work with insurance companies.
Yeah.
So they're like, I'm just going to, not even take insurance directly.
Yeah. Well, and that's a struggle too on the provider end to like get all of the, like it's just as
Paperwork.
frustrating for the patient as it is for the provider. Like you have this middleman of tricks and paper and you just don't know.
Have you had to shop around for a mental health practitioner?
No, I got really lucky when I was in high school. My high school assigned me someone.
And they were good?
Yeah, and she just came to me at school. And then they sent me to, I shouldn't say they sent me to because it was also in school, but there was like a support group that we did like once every 2 weeks.
That's cool that your school had that.
Yeah, they were like, this gonna need something.
Something's going on.
Yeah, they were like,
we all need something.
Yeah, it was like, we're gonna call, just come to the office at this time. Like they put it together. And I remember she wore Dolce & Gabbana light blue perfume religiously, and
I love that you remember that.
Oh, yeah.
Scent is like such a strong
she walked in, I'm like,
maker.
are you wearing Dolce & Gabbana? She's like, I am. And
That's awesome.
And then it just came to be. But yeah, I didn't have to shop because it was my school just did it.
There's a bunch of research that basically says, I mean, there's so many people out there like doing different kinds of approaches with different names and like different fortes and experience and all that. But most of the research says that the biggest indicator of like therapy working or like being a positive experience is the relationship between the therapist and the client.
Really?
Yeah, so like not even years of experience, not even if you know like this approach or that approach or this like new
technique.
Yeah, new technique. It's all about the relationship.
That makes
that's
sense.
the biggest determining factor in like if it's going to be helpful.
Yeah, and if somebody's like, you know, if somebody's reaching out, like clearly they're not getting that in the rest, in any other piece of their lives. So if they can get that, you know, join that up and find that person, then why not?
I mean, I even know some therapists who say they won't work with clients that they don't like.
But I think that's fair, though, and that's something that just...
Yeah, I mean, they might not tell them, like, I don't like you,
but
they may say, like, I don't feel like this is a good fit, because if you can't create that relationship...
Yeah, then you're not going to get anything done.
Yeah, or you might not be doing good work, the person might not be connecting with you.
You need breakthroughs, people.
But that is like a relationship, like someone being like, it's not you, it's me. Like, this is like, no one wants to get rejected by their therapist.
Yeah.
Like,
well, but Jessie and I talked about that last time too, because she said that she went to a couple different places just for like care in general.
Yeah.
That were like, we're not equipped to deal with your situation.
that happens, yeah.
Yeah, but how do you
How does
navigate?
that work?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough because I never want to like decline someone or make them feel rejected or like thrown away.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you are being vulnerable by reaching out to someone. So whether it's the first call or you've seen them for some time and they're like, here are these things going on for me and you're the first person I've told, it can be really hard to be like, I can't work with you. And at the same time, at least for me and other licensees, it's really important to abide by like our legal and our ethical code of ethics. And so if you are seeing somebody who is outside your like scope of practice, whether you haven't worked with someone like that and you don't feel like you can or know how, or you just don't have the resources. So like for me, my setup is a private practice. So usually I meet with people 1, maybe 2 times a week. If someone is needing like full-time psychiatric care and observation, it would be unethical for me to see them. So I may have to like process with them like, look, I would like to work with you. I'd be happy to work as a team, but like here are the places you need to go or that need to happen first before we can work together.
Yeah.
And some folks like get upset, get hurt, but it doesn't mean that I can keep seeing them.
Yeah.
Unethically.
Well, and that's what I thought too. I was like, well, at least that's an honest answer. Like they didn't just run up a bill and you got nothing for your time and trouble.
Yeah.
Like that's because I've seen that happen in like just regular physical health world. They're like, oh yeah, we can run this test and that test and blah 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 blah, and they know good and well that it's not going to accomplish anything.
Yeah, so it's unethical for me to keep somebody in my office just to keep them there, just because I like them or just because I like want the money. Like that would clearly be unethical. But I mean, you know, people are coming to you with like serious, vulnerable struggles.
Yeah.
And so it can be hard to decline and like refer somebody out to another resource. But sometimes it's also necessary. Like, I've had to do it.
Yeah. How do you build that network of, like, you need to go see this person?
It definitely takes time, and I think I'm still learning myself. And then it's also difficult because sometimes you're like, look, this is what you need, but maybe the person doesn't have good insurance, or they don't have access to it, or they can't afford it, and then I have to try to help them find something.
Figure something out.
Yeah.
You must need a bomb receptionist for that.
I wish I had a receptionist. Some people do. But it takes time to like build this list, and so the more people I work with, the more like colleagues that I get information. Sometimes if I don't have one, I'll call a colleague of mine and say, hey, have you worked with anyone in this area?
And that could probably take hours of your day too, calling around trying to
and that's unpaid time.
Get a homie hookup. And that's what I always think about, like people in your profession is like there's only so many hours in the day.
Yeah.
So if you have...
And a lot of it is like unpaid work, like writing notes.
Yeah.
You have to write notes for each session with each client.
Where do you keep them, or where do they go?
Some people just have them handwritten, and you have to keep them in a double-locked place.
Okay.
Because everything is, very protected and confidential.
Yeah.
I use an online thing called Simple Practice, so they help organize it online, and it's all like HIPAA compliant and all of that. So it makes it a bit easier. I used to keep like written records.
Like old school, like classic therapist
Yes,
scene.
exactly. Like,
how did you get your first like folio of like how you take notes?
There are some people who take them during the session. I try not to be that person because I hate being like the Freud therapist who's like, interesting.
How do you feel?
How does that make you feel? I mean, I do say that to people. Like,
well, you have to. I don't think you can get around that. But yeah,
there's
but
only so many different ways you can ask how are you feeling that doesn't sound like how are you feeling. Like, I'll say like, how does that sit with you?
Yeah.
What does that bring up for you?
You're really in your thesaurus. Like, I gotta find another word today.
Honestly, I'm sure my clients make fun of me at home, being like, Nicoletta's gonna say, how is that sitting with you? And it's like, okay, yes. But like,
it's not great, but I'm dealing with it.
Yeah, like, terrible. Why do you ask? Like,
obviously, otherwise I wouldn't be here. Yeah, that's...
exactly. Why do you think I'm coming here?
Yeah. I'm sure, do people get angry with you?
Yes.
Yeah?
Not often, because I think part of the training we go through is to...
be a calming...
Not just be calming, but also... I'm okay with people getting angry with me. Like, it's bound to happen because we're talking about tough stuff.
Yeah.
There's something that happens called transference. So transference is basically when either myself or a client projects feelings onto you, onto myself, because it's actually related to their life in another way. And so they may like view me. They may see me as like their girlfriend or their mom or someone that like reminds them of some like shitty person, or they may be angry about something else, but I'm in the room like with them working through this, so they have no one else to be angry at, so they may get angry at me because
you're the only one available at the time.
I'm the only one available, or like I remind them of somebody that they didn't like. And so it's important to be able to tolerate the anger and explore it. So sometimes I have to like tolerate people being angry with me.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah,
but you're a nice, compassionate person, though. So I mean, like,
I try to be. But I mean, I'm trying to think of like a specific example. But yeah, there have been times where someone, like for example, has been upset that I didn't fix their problem for them. And so I think a lot of people think that therapy is like you come and you're like, this person is going to tell me how to...
Yeah, like it's some sort of magic or something.
Exactly. Like, this is my last resort, but if I come here, you're going to figure it out, you're going to tell me what to do, and like, my life is going to be better.
Like you have a magic wand just tucked away somewhere.
I mean, shoot, I wish I did. But, so people come in and they get frustrated, like, why is this taking so long? Why aren't you giving me the answers? And so we have to explore, like, their expectations for therapy, like, what are you expecting out of me? Do you think that this is how therapy works? Like, what's getting in the way? And so sometimes people don't want to do that work.
I think that happens more often than not, because like I've run, especially like in entertainment, you run across some real cards, and
I've heard some stories.
And you see things and it's like you clearly need someone in your life, like obviously, and you would do so much better if you did that, but you're not willing to do the work with that person to like accomplish the thing. Like I think sometimes
it's hard.
Yeah, it's not a joke. It's definitely work in every sense of the word. But it is. I think if you can get to a point or to the other side of it, it will have been worth it. Hopefully. But I've seen a lot of that of people that are just like kind of committed to their misery and their trauma or whatever their situation is.
Or they have gotten so comfortable with being a victim.
Yeah. Well, and then I've seen it because for some people it becomes like their identity.
Yes.
That if they didn't have that ball of wax, then what ball they would in their minds they wouldn't have a ball of wax at all, which isn't true. There's plenty of other pieces to people's personalities.
There's an AA phrase that I'm going to edit because it has some inappropriate language, but it's basically it's like it might be crap, but at least it's warm. And so it's sort of this idea that like we get comfortable in our discomfort. So even though we say we want to change something, like it's hard work. And so sometimes it's comfortable just to like lay in your crap and be like, this is what I know.
Or just the fear.
This has become a part, feels like it's my identity.
Yeah. Or it feels like it's more comfortable to say in that. I think a lot of people.
Or it feels more comfortable than taking a new risk.
Taking a new risk, yeah. Or just their mind is telling them like, oh no, this is easier than like actually going through it. And I think that's how a lot of people end up with these like pent up feelings and things like that, is that they think that their mind is telling them that like, oh, if you feel these things, it's gonna hurt, it's gonna be terrible. So they just kind of stay, to the other side of it. But if you go through it and you felt it and you're like, okay, I lived.
Yeah.
I made it to the other side. It was okay. Nobody died or peed their pants or anything. Like,
but I mean, going back to like the anger and the transference stuff, I think it's important to be able to explore that stuff and like stay centered. Firstly, not take it personally. Yeah. I mean, look, sometimes it is personal, but like often it has nothing to do with me. And so not taking it personally, like I remember I had an older African American male client. And a couple times they seemed really angry with me. And so I was able to say something along the lines of like, you seem angry with me. Yeah. Which is, I think, therapeutic.
Are you sitting angry with me?
Well,
I feel like you're sitting angry with me.
I think this is like normal. Like, I don't think, have I ever asked you that? Like, I think a lot of friendships and relationships like might not go there and be like, I feel like you're angry with me. Like, what's this really about? Yeah. People might just be like, why are you being a jerk? Like, whatever. And so I said something like, I feel like you're angry with me. Like, I'm feeling a lot of hostility, and I wonder like what's going on for you. And we ended up getting into a discussion just about like what it was like for this person to work with a white woman.
How very interesting.
And just race relations and past experiences and stigmas and racism and patriarchal views and culture. And so like this,
you really dove deep into that.
But this like strengthened our relationship. Yeah. So we were able to like work with the anger and the transference that was coming up, as opposed to me just being like, well, this client's difficult, like, and being angry back or whatever. But sometimes it's hard because, I'm clearly there to try to help people. Yeah. And when someone's like rude or angry with you, it's hard to not be like, you're ungrateful. Get out.
Get out.
Of course, if I like feel unsafe or whatever, that might be a different story.
Then they got to go.
Yeah, I have to be able to tolerate being with people in their uncomfortable feelings, whether that be like they're sobbing or they're.
Well, yeah, because isn't that kind of like your entire job description is like being with people during their most uncomfortable feelings?
Yes, pretty much. I think that's hard. That's hard to do because a lot of people, when you see someone that you care about like suffering, my immediate instinct is like, what can I do to fix this?
Yeah.
Which is something that I think, not to genderize it, but like the amount of women I know in heterosexual relationships who are like, I don't want you to fix my problem. I just want you to like validate
I don't understand these people. I'm like, do you have solutions? Because I'm here for it.
So you're a solution person.
I love give me.
See, I'm a feelings person. Yeah. I'm like, don't tell me what to do. Just like tell me you hear me.
Listen to me. You don't need to listen to me. Scratch that. If you can fix it, go ahead and fix it.
But see, it's good to know about your partner.
I've heard that so many times, and I think about it. I'm like, is there something wrong with me that I don't want validation? I just want solutions. Am I a taker?
Maybe you've just validated yourself enough. You don't need it from other people.
That could be very possible.
But sometimes like just listening and like being there with somebody is doing something.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, not to discount that, but like I really love.
You're like, no, give me a solution.
If I call you up and I'm like, yo, this is what happened.
Fix it. Tell me what to do.
It's like, and most of the time I am calling somebody for a homie hookup. I'm like, I need somebody to XYZ because this is out of my scope.
Yeah. I'm glad I'm your homie hookup for how to find a therapist.
You are, for sure. Well, I do know another girl too who became a sex therapist, but this is the thing, like when you're on shoots, like you meet a lot of models that are like, I'm gonna be a sex therapist, and it doesn't happen. Well, one girl, it did
Not that
happen.
former models can't be sex therapists.
It's just, they just don't. Like, I don't know why that's like the thing that they say and it doesn't happen, but now you know it's a thing. That's been sitting on me for a long time.
Glad you got that out there.
Yeah, it's true.
Glad
though.
I could be here to validate you
Thank
and
you
hold
for-
space for you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for all of the space that I clearly need.
But see, sometimes I laugh at myself because there's all this like therapist lingo that I say, and people can tell when I go into that therapist space because I'm like,
Your metaphorical
you're feeling
folio
that way,
opens,
or
yeah.
like holding, like that idea of holding space. Like who says that? I do. But you know, that's like a very like therapist thing to
therapist
say.
thing to say.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's a whole population, mostly centered in Los Angeles, that's constantly going around saying, "My therapist says," and
yeah.
now you're that person.
Yes, for sure. I think like therapy in a positive way is becoming less stigmatized.
Absolutely.
And now it's like trendy to have a therapist.
For sure.
So it's like, I can't meet today. I'm going to see my therapist.
Yeah.
So I mean, look, however people get to therapy, like I'm grateful.
For sure, because I feel like almost like, barring any like extenuating circumstances, I feel like it will always be helpful. Like no matter what you do or what you're looking for, like it will always, you'll probably leave in a better situation than what you came.
I hope so.
I would hope.
I mean, look, sure, are there some like unethical, problematic therapists out there? Yes. That I like have had concerns about? Yes. So that can be, I mean, that's scary for the consumer. That's why it's important to like do a bit of homework first.
Yeah. And no, but in that, like, there's not like a playbook, or not one that I've seen anyway, of like how to contact a mental health provider.
Well, now you have one.
And now you have one. That's kind of what I wanted to do, because I'm getting up towards my 100th episode, crazily
Congrats.
enough. And I'm like, I want to bring in all the people and talk to them about how, like, how do they seek help for whatever situation that they're in, because I've done stories every week on Rose McGowan or Terry Crews or like whoever, but there's never a conversation of like, how do you get to the other side of this,
Like the other side of trauma.
Yeah,
a lot of work.
A lot of work, professionals, and I will say though, like when I went
Help, not alone.
Yeah, I will say when I went and interviewed, I think like 55 people across the planet, I think the common denominator of people that did become functioning after it and felt like, yes, this did happen to me, but they're moving forward from it, had a really good support system in whatever situation that was, and that they had a relationship with God. And that was, those were the two common denominators. And the people that didn't really have either or both of those things in place are still really struggling and scratching at it, basically.
I mean, I have lots of clients who don't believe in God and don't have like a religious practice, but I think that idea of like of hope or spirituality or connecting to something global, something greater, can definitely like be grounding for a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I interviewed people that were basically any religion that you can think of, and ones that you've never heard of, and that was kind of like a moving theme for the ones that were like, well, it happened.
Yeah.
And they, you know, they've moved on about it, is that they had a support system in place. Whether that was like just friends or family, or, you know, some of them did have professional help, or good physical health providers too as well, because a lot of them needed that. But that was like the two reoccurring things.
I think it's important to say that there are a lot of marginalized folks who either won't or don't feel comfortable turning to resources.
Or they're not allowed to. Their family won't let them.
Yeah,
or
they may not be allowed to, but also just having bad experiences. So for like LGBT, queer, trans folks, like may have gone to a practitioner that was like not informed at all and said bigoted, hurtful, unhelpful things, or just didn't ask the questions that they should have been asking. And so that can obviously deter people away from seeking help again.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Because they shut, like, their problem was bad and then it's been made worse.
Yeah,
and
or just felt shamed, felt like they weren't seen.
Yeah.
And this happens all the time for people of color, for people who are non-monogamous, for kinky people, for LGBT folks, like
Do you feel, because
any marginalized community.
considering you've spent so many recent years in school,
I'm still going too.
still
yeah,
going.
forever.
Forever, it's an infinite thing. Do you feel like they're like schools and like professors are helping to like ease that situation? I mean, like if somebody comes to you that's like, you know, a little outside the box, like how do you?
The programs, or the current program that I go to does, but to be honest, you really have to look for it. So like
Really?
in my general MFT program, there was only one class on cultural considerations and one class on human sexuality.
That's it?
It's not enough. It's not enough to... Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to say it in a different way. It's not enough.
It's not enough.
This is why
It
I've
is
like
lacking.
gotten more
It's
training.
grossly lacking.
Yeah, and so often like the teachers and the professors like haven't had those classes themselves, or they don't feel comfortable talking about it, or it's like very general. And so I worked with this group called the Sexual Health Alliance, and they do classes and trainings and seminars for like people who should know about sex but don't. And this includes general practitioners, therapists, even OBGYNs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, get this. People who are gynecologists do not have to take a class on human sexuality.
They're just dealing with the aftermath.
Yeah, so they can have their hands in you and have never learned to like talk about sex.
Maybe that's why it's so awkward.
Yeah.
Maybe that is why pelvic exams are so awkward, because
Yeah.
they're just like, I'm trying to get this done.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Like it's just another.
yeah, it's all about the distraction.
Yeah, so it's not everyone is learning about this.
No, and they should. But you know what though? I think higher education in general like has that problem. Like I think I asked my friend that was like going to school to be a teacher or something. I was like, what was your like arithmetic curriculum like? And they're like, oh, I think we took like a semester or something. I'm like, that makes sense, because you're paying this much for your degree. That's gonna get you paid this much. So I can see how they wouldn't.
And
Work
like
that out.
how many classes like have you taken in junior high school that like have not helped or served you in life?
Anyway.
Like most of them.
Like most of them, yeah. Not really. The crafting of the curriculum is not really going well, I think.
Yeah, or it's just
overall.
not like helpful for life.
for life in general.
Yeah, just for like adulting, for existing,
Yeah.
taking care of yourself, just like basic.
Really basic stuff we're really missing the mark on.
But I know that tangent equals like sine over cosine, or that might not even be it. I may have even forgotten it. But
I don't know. Your guess is
where
as
am I
good
going
as
to
mine.
use that? I don't know.
I don't think that's helpful unless you're going to be decorating your office geometrically or something.
I'm not.
You're not. Clearly not.
Clearly not.
All right, well, I think we should wrap it up, but thank you for coming.
Yes.
You're the best. Eventually,
Thanks for
we're going to
having
go to
me.
Red Lobster, like we say we're going to. And that is enough. No Filter Friday on Public House Media. Come back next week, and, as usual, Lord only knows what's going to happen between now and then. So, see you later, kids.
Bye.